Hey guys, Arty here. Happy Saturday. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month per usual. Happy Memorial Day weekend as well. And I am back with another video for Mental Health Awareness Month. And it'll be a little different, a lot different actually. I am doing, first of all, is it cool where you guys are? Because it's like dead ass cold where I'm at. It's like 50 degrees today and it's rainy. I love it though. But yeah, I was wondering if it was just where I'm at. But we are getting right in to it with another video. This video is going to be different. So it is for Mental Health Awareness Month, right? But it's not going to be a tip. I'm going to do a video about my life story as far as, mental health is concerned, right? Because for me, mental health struggles and triumphs started almost from infancy, really, and till now, currently. And so it's important for people to see what depression and mental health in general looks like, right? It's important to know what contributes to a person's mental health, right? Instead of just reading it and seeing it textbook style and on television, on social media, right? We need to see what it looks like in a person, what contributes to it, right? Seeing a person go through it so that others can know that they can get through it too, right? And live with it, right? So that's why I'm doing this video. It's definitely one of transparency for me, which I have no problem with, but it's a cross between being excited and anxious and just a little scary to kind of share my life story, really. So I'm ready though. Got my herbs. Hope you guys are ready too. So for me, it really started as being a child. My struggles with mental child, a little drink. Child, y'all hear my stomach? Ghetto. But child, a little gin, a little pink lemonade. Child, I'll fill that glass up to the rim too. But when I was a child, me and my mother, from infancy, it felt like, me and my mother never really got along. Kind of treated me like a redheaded stepchild, to just kind of put it simply. And so there was that. And then from there, I have 4 other siblings. There's 5 of us in total. I am the second youngest, and the rest are sisters. I have an older brother, right? So youngest boy and second youngest in general. Cool, so y'all got that. I'm sorry I keep lighting this because it's like lit weird. I have a really bad problem with lighting evenly, child. I just be so eager to smoke it. You're supposed to roll it and get it all even, child. I be with the shits. But so me and my mother really got along, and that's my sibling dynamic, father in the household. Parents were married, right? Until my father passed away. We'll get to that. And so for me, that was my childhood with my mother, and that was a dynamic. Got along with my siblings, fights here and there, at early age, whatever, typical shit. I was molested when I was 5. So I was in kindergarten, I believe. And it wasn't, not to really get into any details or anything like that, because it really isn't too relevant to this video, but what is relevant is it wasn't, an uncle or, a relative or anything like that. What I will say is, just a little side note, it was someone that I went to school with. And same age, but clearly a little bit more advanced in things than I was, right? So please watch your children when you send them to school, because children molest children, right? I do want to just share that. And for me, I never told anyone other than my father, right? When it happened. And I held on to it for a little bit before I told him, for I don't know how long. It felt like an eternity, but it probably was weeks or a month, right? And so I remember telling my father, and he was super receptive, super, accommodating to what I was going through. And it wasn't as scary as I made it out to be. And he was super, super there for me, right? And so that was really my first experience kind of coming out in a way, because ever since then I've been attracted to men, right? And so that was a big thing for me as a child, because I went through having this attraction, right? That's why when I was older, I didn't really blossom into being sexual or anything as a teenager, because I felt like I was over-sexualized as a child, and I had all those emotions as a child, right? And those feelings as a child. And so I remember walking around dealing with those things, and, dealing with, when I got older, we'll get to, the feeling of nurture versus nature. Am I gay because of what happened to me, or did what happened to me happen because I was already gay? And like, that was something I walked around and I dealt with, in life, right? As I got older. But as a child, I didn't repeat that, again to anyone until I was 18. So just kind of talking about that, you know, walking around with that as a child, that secret, and not telling anyone but my father. And then he passed when I was 12, and I didn't speak about that again until I was 18 to some spiritual advisors, some counselors. Didn't really do much. Then I spoke about it again when I was 25 to my sister and my best friend. And then later, like recently in a forum on Clubhouse, actually, I shared it. But it's important for me to share it now because I am reclaiming that, right? I'm taking it back. It doesn't own me anymore, and it hasn't for a while. And so I'm comfortable with sharing it where I see, you know, it can help people, right? So let's backtrack. So that happened, right? That was really, so between that and my issues with my mother, I was depressed as a child. Like if you went to school with me, you probably obviously didn't know it. I didn't know it until I was an adult looking back, but I was depressed, right? I remember feeling like, and I mentioned this in another video, I remember feeling like I'm in a situation that I don't belong in, right, with my mother. It was just really bad in the household, right? Just verbally abusive, no affection. My mother wasn't the best parent in general, not to paint her out to be a villain, but she was still affectionate and showing love to my other siblings, and it just wasn't me. And I just think that there was something going on that only she knew about, and that's why she kind of hated me from birth, I felt, but whatever. But I was depressed as a child, right? And that was just something that I walked around with. I was functionally depressed. I was going to school depressed. I was, you know, walking around with migraines all the time, angry at the world because I wasn't happy at home. I realized I was in a situation that I wasn't meant to be in, but I didn't have the capacity or the wherewithal to get out of the situation. And so that was what I kind of went through as a child, right? Fast forward, that was my first really entry, I think, to depression, right? To keep me on track, I got a few points that I want to mention. Then let's fast forward to 25, right? At this point, I'm 25. A few years prior, I was 22, and my mother decided she just wanted to move, and she put me and my younger sister out. I was living with my older sister for several months until I moved out, right? And now, the few years past that point, at 25, I lost my job. And I'm from Philadelphia, and I worked a city job. And it was the sort of city job that when you get it, like most city jobs, people put in your head that you'll never have to work anywhere else, you'll be set for life, great benefits, great pay. And I let that job become my everything, right? And when something is your everything, when you lose it, right, you feel like you lost your everything. And so I lost my first job ever in life at 25, and that devastated me. Like, I had never been fired. I had worked for almost 10 years at that point. I had never, just in general, not the job, but in general, various jobs. I was 3 years at that job, and I had lost the job, and it was wrong. I wrongfully was fired and terminated. And so I was really depressed. I didn't realize it because when I think depression or used to, I thought, you know, well, I'm still eating and, you know, I'm still kind of staying in contact with people. So I thought I wasn't depressed because that's what I thought depression looked like. And it doesn't all the time. I was still eating. I was still, you know, communicating with people, or so I thought. Come to find out it wasn't really as much as I thought I was. And then I remember looking back now, I was depressed because I had body image issues. I was overweight. I wasn't going out until after dark. I just didn't get started in life until after dark. I wasn't really eating much. I was eating, but maybe like once a day. Now that I look back. And it wasn't until I sat in the bottom of my shower and I cried, right? Until I realized that, I was depressed. And I told my sister, and she just swooped in, you know, had me live with her and nursed me back to health, right? And so I love her so much. As you guys already know, she is my mother, right? And so that happened at 25. So that was major depression. I lived with my sister, lost my job, you know, a few months later, got another job, stayed with her for about 8 months, moved to Delaware. And that's where I'm at now, right? And got back on my feet, paid my debts off, found a job, right? And I've been here now. So we're current, kind of, sort of, right? When I moved to Delaware a year ago, I lost my father, my second father in life. I lost my father to cancer at 12. I left that out. And he was my best friend. And so when I lost my father at 12, that was something that also added to my depression. But now I had lost someone else in my life that was like a father, right? He died during the pandemic, and a few days after I had moved here, he didn't even know I moved. He had died so fast. And then a few weeks after that, I found out I had COVID, right? And so now my mother and I, we had at that point been estranged for more than 5 years since I had seen her, and it's been more than 3 since we spoke on the phone. She was still under the impression that I had lived with my sister still. Like she had, you know what I mean? Like that's how out of touch we are or were. And so I was here. Mother was sick. Second father passed, and remember feeling just isolated. And I remember waking up and having really, really, really dark thoughts. Not thoughts of suicide, gratefully and fortunately, but I remember just feeling like, child, I'm letting this blunt go out because I'm so into this conversation, because this is healing for me as well. Just kind of like rehashing everything in life, but I remember feeling like I was isolated and none of my friends gave a fuck about anything, and I was always here for people. And I remember having conversations with my circle about my depression, and a few of them not responding favorably, brushing it off. And I remember having to clean house and cutting some friends off, and just really telling my sister that I was going through something. And she was there for me, and we both kind of bonded, deeper over the fact that we both went through something. She just didn't mention it to anyone when our second father passed. And it was really a tough time for me, right? I took a leave of absence from work. People didn't know about that. And it was just, I was gone for a while. I was out of it. Facial hair was growing, hair was out of style, just unkept rather, and just bad, right? I was still cleaning myself and taking care of myself, but I wasn't eating really, just really out of it. And so I remember just having become a student of my depression, right? Of mental health, period. I didn't know anything about mental health, really. It wasn't until I came out on the other side of losing my job, right? Here in Delaware, and reflecting on that, these videos, my mental health, or my dialogues that I do rather, I started in 2019. On the other side, coming out of depression. And these have been healing for me, the videos. This is where all of this has started for me, honestly. And I remember in that video, I talked about, that was the only time I was able to identify, like I was depressed then, when I lost that job. I was depressed as a kid, right? I didn't identify the childhood depression until then. And so that's what I'm grateful for, going through the depression that I've gone through, because I'm able to now identify depressions that I've gone through and learn things from them. And excuse me, I have a timer going off. And so there we go. And I just remember, understanding things from those depressions and learning now, and now I'm able to identify depression in the future, right? So when this all sort of happened and I went through this depression, I was able to identify it for what it was, right? I was able to say, like, listen, I'm having these thoughts randomly, and I'm having negative thoughts about people, and nothing happened to me, nobody did nothing to me, like I'm waking up just feeling like this. I said something's not right. And I wasn't going to work. Before I took that leave of absence, I was calling out of work. I was, just not going, exhausted my PTO and things like that. And it was bad. And so I took the leave and got myself back on track, kept my job and things like that. But I talked to my friends about it. I learned that not everyone in one of the tips are going to be a resource, not in a negative way, but some people are just not equipped. Most people are not equipped. We don't talk about mental health like we should, or at all, especially as Black people. I can only speak for what I know. In our community, it's almost taboo still to talk about mental health, to acknowledge mental health. My younger sister struggles with mental health, and it was something she's always struggled with, and we acknowledged it, but my mother and father never really acknowledged it or at all until she was an adult. And it's just something that you don't do as children or as Black people. And it's terrible, because sometimes you can identify things that can correct your mental health, or at least put you on a path to be able to live with it comfortably before you're an adult, okay? Like before you require medication or anything like that, you know what I mean? Or before it's debilitating, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to get to that point. And I hate that for us as Black people. We have to do better. We have to do better. And so I went through that. I am better. I have not had I'm proud to say I haven't had an episode like that at all since the summer. It was August, and so this August will be a year, and I'm proud. Um, and so I believe, what am I? February would have been the halfway mark. I didn't celebrate that, but it's also because that's a good thing though, because it's not on my mind daily. I wake up, I'm happy. You know, I manifest. We talk about manifesting. I keep things clean around me, myself, my body, my presence, the people around me. I've made sure my circle is tight. Like I do all these things to stay on top of my mental health so that I don't have to get to that point. And these things are not hard to do. These are things we should all do. We should all be clean people. We should all speak positivity into our own lives. We should all actively, you know, put action to those things that we speak into our lives. We should all make sure that the people in our lives serve a purpose and we serve a purpose in their lives. You know what I mean? And so that's where I'm at now. And so what I've been learning currently, a new lesson in life now, I think I'm learning that I need to become emotionally fortified and to be in emotional solitude. Fortitude and solitude is the lesson. Because I've been learning that, so first my mother, right? She is COVID free, but she has always had symptoms since having COVID. And now she's also just been having other health complications that were exacerbated by having COVID. And she smoked her entire life and things like that and drinking. And so it's bad, really. I mean, she's very small, and if I'm being honest, I don't think that she'll be here much longer. And so I'm at a place in my life where I'm forgiving her for what she's done, even if it's something that she'll never discuss with me or acknowledge or anything like that, because I just feel like no one deserves to leave this earth feeling like they have an issue with their child or feeling like things are just unresolved in any capacity when you are dying. And I don't know what other things may be unresolved, but at least here, I would like to give her some resolve, if that makes sense. And so that's a tough time for me emotionally and mentally because on one hand, my mother is who she is to me, right? And on the other hand, I still have a simple form of love for her because she's my mother. And I owe her that love, I feel like, right? And I owe myself to give it, right? I feel like to not give it I would be going out of my way and being someone I'm not, right? And so I say solitude and fortitude because what I've been realizing is I've been getting different news about her health and things like that recently, and I've been reaching out, you know, to my best friends, and in those moments that I've needed them, they weren't there. And they're great people. There's not anything negative to say about them. It's just that they had their own lives. It's just that in those specific moments, they weren't there. And what I've learned from that is I have to learn to be strong on my own, solitude, and I have, you know, fortitude. I have to learn because I think that when I go through my mother passing, it's going to be something that no one's going to get. I have to be able to, it's getting cold in here, go through these things on my own because I don't think it's going to be something that anyone, even my best friends, are going to get. Because it makes sense. I understand that you guys probably understand me verbally, but still, it's like I really can't explain, and I'm trying to, as an empath, convey that through this video, right? Use that to get you guys to feel it through the video, but to understand that my mother to me is my tormentor, right? Not to make her a villain, right? Not to speak negatively of her, but to be real. She's my tormentor. She was. She was not the piece that your mother's supposed to be for a child that I saw her being for my other siblings, right? I did not want to go home because of the turmoil in the home. You know what I mean? Like when we had an argument, like I remember her killing my pet turtle, like things like that is who she is to me. I'll never forget any of those things, right? And so, and I didn't even come to her and tell her that I was molested as a child, right? I don't even know if she knows, honestly. I'm assuming that my father would have had that conversation with her, but maybe he wouldn't have, you know what I mean? Because of who she is. I remember him sitting me down and having conversations with me, telling me like, listen, I don't know what's going on with you guys. I don't understand it. But he told me I had to respect her still, and that's my mother, and I give her that. But that's who she is to me, but still, I feel for her, right? Because she's dying. And while I feel for her, and while I feel like I owe her the natural God-given love that I feel like children owe their parent, because I came from her and there's a connection there, even mess aside, I still feel like I reserve the right to have a conversation with her, right? And to express how I feel, but she's dying. And all of this is going to run through my head, and I know it's going to hit me once it happens. And so I just know that I need to start building up emotional and mental fortitude and solitude, because I can't count on someone being there for something like this. They will be there. I know that they will. But there's going to be a level of understanding that even they won't get, I feel. And I know. Because I felt this my entire life. I lie to you not. I felt there would come a time that she would be on her deathbed and that I'd be confronted with all my feelings for her. Now, at the time that I was feeling this thought or thinking this thought, I was in a much worse place, I'll say, with her. We were estranged, and the door was closed, and I had no vision of it being open. I didn't feel like I owed it to her. I had made my peace with that. I had come to terms with, yes, I'll always owe her honor. When she was sick, I showed up. I bought her supplies. I traveled back home. But I told myself until, I was at the time thinking and taking for granted that she was alive and going to be living. And I told myself that I'm owed a conversation, and that just because she's my mother, I don't have to put up with the toxicity. I'm not going to put that aside and say, well, now that I'm grown, we're just not going to talk about what you did to me and what was done to me. And what did I ever do to you? And can we talk about, what do you mean? But now that she's here, like all those things, I feel that way still. Not as harsh because we're closer now, but I also still feel the love. I feel both of that at the same time because of the reality of my relationship with my mother and the reality of where she's at right now. Just mortally. Like, she's not well. She's under 100 pounds, right? And she still smokes and drinks. And so it's just not going to stop the health problems that she has. So I have to make it back home because I need to see her, because I don't believe she'll be here much longer. So my point, though, in saying all of these things in this video is because I need all of you who struggle with mental health now, who feel like they have, who do or don't in the past, you don't know, people who do. I need you to understand what mental health struggles look like, right? What it looks like in a person, not just what we read about, what we think we know about, what it looks like. It's the everyday person. It's you, it's your neighbors, your mother, your father, it's your lover, your child, your unborn child, possibly, right? It's genetic, it's nature, it's nurture, right? I also need people to see what contributes to mental health. I'm not the only person that was molested. I'm not the only person that's a gay black man that went through struggling with, am I gay because I was molested, or was I molested, because I was already gay? Like, I had that struggle before I let that go, and I embrace who I am now. But I'm not the only person who went through that, and that contributes to a lot of people's walking mental health struggles. Depression, functional depression, right? It contributes to a lot of unsaid conversations that we, don't have, again, in the black community, in the household. And we grow up with these struggles, and I'm fortunate that I've grown into the person that I am, with the love that I do have in my life, and I'm abundantly loved. But it all made me who I am, and I need people to see that so that people can see what it looks like, and see what it looks like to go through things that were meant to destroy me. I was molested at 5. Didn't speak about it again until I was 18. Not again until I was 25, and then recently, freely now at 27. So it held a hold over my life, right? I need people to see that. People I went to school with, people that thought they knew me, thought they know me now. Like, I need people to see all that makes up who I am. So if I come across a little this way or that way, understand perhaps why, right? Do you understand? Like, all of this is important to know in a person. When you see certain things that you might see in me that you recognize in someone that you know, or in yourself, maybe this helps you to understand why, possibly, right? And if you think it is you or anyone you know, help them get help. Send them something, a therapist. If there are people that are spiritual, recommend spiritual advisors. You understand what I'm saying? There's so many things and resources now that I'm grateful for in 2021 that were not available when I was born in 1993, right? Or when things happened to me, in 1990, 8 would have been when I was 5? So I leave this video as always saying there's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with me. Mental health is another form of health. I hope this video was helpful. I know I was lit, but I needed this to help me clear my mind and to really just be authentic. This helps me be my truer self, my CBD. But as always, I love you guys much, and mental health struggles make us no different than the next person and their struggles, right? There's nothing wrong with us. We're just living life. And I hope that this video inspires anyone to take a handle on all forms of their life, not just the financial, the physical, you know what I'm saying, the emotional, the spiritual, right? The social, right? On social media in general, right? Social in general, life, speaking, communication that we focus on, right? Making money, again, the financial, focus on your mental health. Take charge of that, because that's going to unlock so much in terms of those other forms of health, right? Benefits in physical health that I talked about, benefits and just opening your mind and body to new forms of making money, right? And so financial, and then the physical, again, being healthier inside and out, eating differently and thinking differently. And so, as always, much love. I keep saying that, but I'm a little lit. Arty out. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend. Be safe. Keep those masks on, child. I don't subscribe to taking that shit off. And other than that, have a great weekend.